Well, North Carolina's eviction moratorium, it will end at the end of this month. The Council of State voted against a 1-month extension. And so the CDC extended the federal eviction moratorium until the end of this month. So what does that mean for those needing help? It's pretty confusing, and that is why we're answering your questions, not only about the eviction moratorium, but also the HOPE program with the State of North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency, as well as the city and county rent and utility help programs as well. So right now we have with us North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency Chief Operating Officer Laura Hogshead, Randal Hoover, the Division Director of the Guilford County Department of Health and Human Services, and Isaac Sturgill with Legal Aid of North Carolina. You get to text them your questions. The number is on your screen right now, 336-379-5775. To get your questions answered, you simply just text us. No calls, please. Just text. We'll get the questions to them. All right, so let's go with an overview first and foremost, Laura. So let's take a look at the state of North Carolina and the map that we have that shows where the HOPE program operates and where the county city programs operate.
Right, so the HOPE program is operating in 88 counties. The other 12 counties got their own allocations from the federal government and are running their own programs. And the HOPE program so far has taken in 31,722 applicants. We have made awards of just over $90 million, and we have paid out awards of $40 million. So as soon as all the paperwork is completed, we are able to pay the awards to the landlord and to the utility company in order to secure folks' housing for the foreseeable future.
Gotcha. Okay. And we're hoping that we can put up that graphic so that we can show people in the state of North Carolina what county you live in or what city you live in so that you'll know, okay, if I'm in a blue county, that means that the HOPE program is where I need to go for help. And if I am in a gray county, that means I'm going to go to my city or my county for help. So for Forsyth and Guilford counties, you're going to go to your city or county. But if you're like in Alamance or Stokes or Surrey or Randolph or Davidson, you are going to be covered by the HOPE program. All right, so speaking of that, Randal Hoover there is with Guilford County. So let's talk about how much Guilford County has already done when it comes to applications.
With Guilford County, we started our program early February of this year, and we've received just a bit over 1,500 applications thus far. We've processed out of those about 1,362. And we have about 140 pending, meaning that they are in process. We're reviewing those for verifications and other information to determine eligibility on those.
Okay. All right. And with that said, there is going to be something new that is happening. It used to be that if you lived in the city limits of Greensboro, you only applied to the city of Greensboro. If you lived in Guilford County, you only applied to Guilford County. So now things are changing. So what are we changing to?
So effective this Friday, July 9th, we are opening up our application process to residents who live within the city limits of Greensboro. So if you live within the city, you're open to apply on the Guilford County website, and we'll receive your application and process it just as we would for any other county resident.
Okay, and so why is that happening?
There's a lot of need out there in terms of folks applying, and our volume has not been as high as we would have liked it to be. So we have opened it up to help the city out with some of the processing and meeting the need basically of the residents of Greensboro.
Gotcha. Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to kind of shift things to the eviction moratorium because it ends July the 31st. So Isaac, kind of like walk us through if we are in need of help, like to be covered for the eviction moratorium, at least for the next, 20-something days. What do we need to be doing?
Well, the first thing I just want to make clear is some people have heard talk that the state eviction moratorium expired on June 30th. The state law were some additional obligations that landlords had to go through, but the underlying eviction moratorium is the federal moratorium from the CDC, and that still is in effect through the end of July. So if you're a tenant who's behind on your rent, that federal law still can protect you, but you have to take action in order to get protection. It's not automatic.
All right, and that protection is that CDC form. And so there's 7 different criteria on that CDC form. So can you go through that with us?
Yeah, so to get protection, the tenant has to get the form, they have to read these qualifications and make sure they apply to them, and then give that form, sign it, and give it to their landlord. And those qualifications are, you have to make under a certain amount of money, so that's $99,000 for an individual, $198,000 if it's a joint tax return, or you have to have not been required to report income on your taxes last year, or have received a stimulus check last year. Any one of those three things will make you qualify for the income. You have to declare that you've been using your best efforts to get all available government assistance, like assistance from the HOPE program, that you're also using your best efforts to pay partial payments to your landlord, however much you can, when you can, even if it's not the full payment. You have to also say that you're unable to pay your full payment because of a substantial loss of income, that you'll be homeless if you're evicted, and that you understand that if you are at the end of the moratorium, the rent will still be owed, and otherwise it's not a waiver of the rent, it's just a pause on the eviction itself.
Okay, gotcha. And then the last couple of things, I want to make sure that we clarify this. You do owe the full amount of back payments once that moratorium ends, and the documentation needs to be signed and sent to your landlord.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break now, but you know what we're talking about. We're talking about the HOPE program. You know whether you should go with the HOPE program or whether you need to talk to your county or your city, or if you've got a question about the eviction moratorium and what needs to be done. We're going to take your questions when we come back from this break.